Greetings to each and all. Back again, and you see the title, The Myth of American Exceptionalism. I think that's self-evident, that American exceptionalism is a myth. American extremism is a fact. American imperialist fascism is a fact. But American exceptionalism, it depends on what we're going to say they're exceptional at. Genocide, human atrocity, greed, hate, racism, sexism, every form of inequity you can think of. Yes, Babylon the Great is America. In any case, we see in the background image here, it's symbolic. We have President Custer and his predecessor, General Custer. The parallels are significant, and as time goes on, we'll see that they're even more fitting than what I've projected. Keep it up, President Custer. You see, I have added a bulleted list today. It's brief. I collected a lot of data this week. For those of you that might be new here, you can check in the sections on the YouTube page here. I try to post or link the geopolitical data that I collect during the week. There's good resources there. Some of them are not resources that I think a lot of people go to, simply because they have their own vested interest in confirmation bias. But there are some good channels out there that provide analysis that absolutely contribute to what I communicate to you here. So if you'd like to get a gist of what the background is on where I'm making my commentary regarding geopolitics, it's right there. So what I want to start with, the pattern I've recognized recently, especially since after the election, is AOC. Reject AOC. You see her all over now. They're trying to position her to be a leader in the Democratic Party, and she sold out. She sold out. There's no redeeming her. You'd be a fool to think she has any interest in the people. AOC is interested in AOC. You know, it was a huge warning sign when she called Nancy Pelosi Mama Bear. It was completely obvious when she refused to call the atrocities in Gaza a genocide. This woman is sold out. Almost everybody that makes it to the Hill sells out. It's incredibly lucrative. There's fame, there's wealth. I presume a lot of drugs. Not that I see her partying too much, but it's these people are actors. And I got that from the Savvy Sabs channel. She referred to our political representation, that they're all actors. And I think I'm going to ride with that. I think that's a really simple and to the point way of viewing these people. They are actors. They represent whatever brand those that donate to their campaigns tell them they're going to represent. And we should reject her. I mean, I shouldn't speak for other people, but I absolutely reject her. I don't want to hear anything she has to say. She's a prop. She's a puppet. She's a meat puppet for the Democratic establishment. And she was too late to call it a genocide, and completely, she called Joe Biden a good man. That rotten son of a bitch. She said it with a straight face, too. He's a good man as he's bombing children. She's barely better than he is as far as that's concerned, so reject her. Speaking of Savvy Sabs, that comes to our second thing, reject bullshit Bernie. I told you I don't like Bernie. I think Bernie is a two-faced bigot, and he proved that when he said that he did not support reparations for black people while he supports reparations for his own people. There's a double standard there that is just not palatable to me, and I don't see how any black person should have any liking for Bernie whatsoever. You know, that two-faced Jewish supremacism, and that's what he's implying when he says that reparations would be divisive, even though he supports reparations for his own Jewish people for the Nazi Holocaust. So I was done with him there. But Savvy Sabs points out that Bernie is on a campaign now doing public speaking or whatnot, which is a copycat tour, as Savvy Sabs channel says here, to stall third parties. It's basically going against Jill Stein. And she explains in a detailed way how Bernie sold out last time, the Democratic establishment, and how he's doing the same thing now. And let's be clear, AOC did the same thing, attacking Jill Stein. They both did. So they're both sold out that way, not to be taken seriously, and they shouldn't be considered leaders. So the Democratic Party's in the tank right now. So I don't know what is going to come of it, but if you start to notice them, especially AOC, and a lot of these in the YouTube verse here, a lot of these channels are propping her up there like she's the next thing in line, and she's a sellout. She's a sellout and she's fake. They bought her. She's bought and paid for her. So I don't know if we're ever going to be able to get a third party, but that's what's needed. Aren't you sick of looking at Chuck Schumer? I mean, you got all these old bastards in there, just the same old. It all needs to be purged. Start fresh all over again. In any case, that's just my advice. My observation is reject AOC and reject bullshit, burn it. They are problematic, just like the country is. So you remember I pointed out, I want to get back on this Latino thing briefly. I pointed out the website a long time ago, America Reimagined, which shows how the country is changing and the demographic shift that's already taking place with school-age children, where there's more children, quote-unquote, people of color than there are Europeans now at the school age. And I showed how at the same time these people sold out and started talking about they were going to call themselves white too. And we know how that's working out for them now, don't we? With so here I mentioned LULAC all over again. That's where Latinos wanted to be claimed white. When you hear black media producers talking about Latinos and citing LULAC, LULAC is old. I've shown that before. That was old. This happened decades ago when they wanted to do that, and they promote that LULAC where the Latinos wanted to be designated white. They promote that and ignore the fact that more Latinos identified as being Latino rather than white than ever before at the last census. They rejected whiteness. That cannot be argued. And I would go in there and I would give that information on these channels, and they would ignore it. They do watch their comments. And if nothing else, they have their teams watch their comments. So they want to go with the specific narrative that the Latinos all identify as white. That's not true. That's not true. The majority of them in the last census rejected whiteness just the same as the Arabs. So this is propaganda when you hear these black channels doing that, because it helps them grow their audience, and it's controversial, and it's all about the money. So if we go down to this section from them, though, I want to show this again, where the hidden diversity of white Americans in this section right here, the second section on the website. I just brought out what they wrote here, and I want to show how these Latinos wanted to be called white. These same ones talking about the demographic change, they want to show the demographic change, but at the same time say that they get to call themselves white. So let's look at what he says here. For many Hispanics and others, the ability to be emphatically from here and from there, here they're insinuating being both Latino and white, the ambicultural phenomenon is what they're calling it, is becoming not just acceptable, but desirable. Now they want to be, it's desirable that they be both Latino and white. Well, of course, because that allows the pale racists dwindling numbers for them to hide themselves in the melanin of the Latino people that want to pretend that they're white, even though the real racists will always reject them. But let's look at this next thing that they say. In the new America Reimagined, being racially white and having some degree of self-identification to a culture or country of origin is increasingly prevalent and also quintessentially American. So now it's American for brown people to falsely identify themselves as white. It's an American thing to do. The only distinction between whiteness, the major distinction is black. So what these Latino sellouts are doing is saying, hey, we're Latino, we're going to count ourselves as different, but we will be white to our own convenience, because this allows us to distance ourselves from black people. That, yeah, they're sellouts. They should be embarrassed, and I have a message for them. For those specific Latinos, all their little faces are showed all over that website too, them wanting to be white. I have a message for drum roll. Tell ICE you are white now, motherfuckers. See this, the laughing, yes, I'm laughing now. Ain't no one looking at you like you're white now. Oh no, you're feeling the heat now. You are enemy number one now by these same racists that, let's quote them again, in the new America Reimagined, being racially white and having some degree of self-identification to a culture or country of origin is increasingly prevalent and also quintessentially American. Oh, you're not quintessentially American now. You're not white and anymore. No, just ask guys. Just ask guys, Latinos. Ask guys how they're looking at you. Let's reread the audacity of this again. For many Hispanics and others, the ability to be emphatically from here and from there. No. No one's looking at you like you're from Europe. Oh no, you are not white anymore. Not under this presidency. So the irony is too much. But let's take a look at this map here, and this shows where the switch is taking place. The dark green is 50% or higher are quote-unquote people of color. And this map has darkened since this one was made. So yeah, tell them you're white now. Tell them you're white now as they profile you. Tell them you're white now when they check your papers. Like I said, I feel bad and I think it's wrong what they're doing to these people, but I feel much less bad for these Latinos who wanted to call themselves white, because you're not. You're enemy number one now. Enemy number one. So with that said, I'm going to be brief. I'm going to be brief. It doesn't mean that the details aren't good ones. I'm going to go into the parasitic illegal immigrant Elon Musk commentary for a history lesson. And Steve Bannon, affiliated with the Trump or whatnot, a huge Trump supporter, he does not like Elon, and he calls Elon a parasitic illegal immigrant. He is a parasitic foreigner for sure. I don't care for Elon at all. He thinks he's slick with his symbolism and stuff too, and it's really actually very basic. So I want to go into that. Doge, that's who Elon is in charge of now. So Doge is the Department of Governmental Efficiency, and Kyle Kaczynski pointed some things out recently on his channel, but I want you to consider this quote here from Sarah Pruitt, because we're seeing all this right-wing racism try to rise up. And the environment's not there for it. They really think they're just going to walk over and put everybody in line and well, FAFO Nation now, try it. There's not enough of you, and the consciousness has changed. But in any case, when society breaks down, you fall back on old forms of identity. And that's that myth of American exceptionalism. That's the whole pale racist narcissism, that they are the civilizers of the planet when they were in fact the last ones to be civilized, all that. But I want you to take a look at the symbolism here. Kyle Kaczynski pointed this out. This is the logo from Elon Musk, who's also, we know he's done Nazi salutes, and he's continually making racist comments and stuff like that. And what I especially don't like about Elon is he acts like he's tough, and he's a bitch. He's a bitch. He'd quiver if he got smacked. But yeah, so let's take a look at what Kyle points out. Notice the wheel on the Doge sign, and Kyle showed this. yeah, look at the two. It's not an accident. And if you count the spokes on the wheel or whatnot, there's 14 of them there. And it's from the German Labor Front. This was with the Nazi Party, etc. You can look that up if you want. I'm not going to go into all that there. So yeah, Elon is signaling there. And this image here was posted by Elon. And there's also reference to other things here. We're going to find out here. But here's the original post. And there's the swastika. So I told you that the European racists in particular are about the least creative people on the planet, because we see that the swastika was not a racist symbol originally. We find it all over the world. They turned it and made it evil, or made the modern interpretation of it evil. It's just like they made Christianity evil. Look at the Crusades. Look at the witch trials. Look at all the things they did under the name of Christianity, distorting it into their sick and demented worldview. Yeah, but here, in the Western world, it is widely recognized as a symbol of the German Nazi Party, who appropriated it for their party insignia, starting in the early 20th century. So, and we saw the Doge dog up there, right? That's a cryptocurrency, a reference to like a cryptocurrency. And now here Elon is thinking he's really, he's the world's wealthiest man, but he thinks he's like a coding genius, a symbolism genius, and he's actually a symbolism moron. I'm going to show that right now. Doge spelled backwards is EGOD. So what is the reference there with EGOD? Well, if you go to this website, and there's other versions of this, but if you go to EGOD IT, it delves, I'm just going to read it off here, delves into the profound intersection of technology, history, and societal transformation, exploring Doge, Dogecoin, Department of Government Efficiency. See, there's an overlap there. Not just as a meme, but as a symbolic pillar in the emergence of an electronic god, EGOD. Now, we're getting into transhumanism and stuff like that there. This concept, this is from the website, this concept reflects humanity's trajectory toward a unified, digitally driven consciousness powered by technological progress. Central to EGOD IT, this is the website that I got this from, is the analysis of Elon Musk's enigmatic post on X, which amplified the EGOD narrative with ideas like Doge spelled backwards is EGOD. These elements connect to the notion of an omnipresent electronic force. Again, the EGOD thing, there's different narratives associated with that. This all goes into transhumanism and stuff like that. And he's talking about the website. The website also examines themes like the revival of the Holy Roman Empire, linking historical prophecy to modern development. unveiling the evidence, the case for EGOD. So here he says, EGOD IT suggests that these motifs are far from coincidental. Instead, they form a tapestry of evidence pointing towards the deliberate creation or emergence of an EGOD, a technological singularity guiding humanity. Again, you'll find several overlaps with this, with the idea of transhumanism and humans melding with technology. And, the European race has been obsessed with this because they know that they are disappearing from the planet as a single population. They know they're done reproductively. I mean, they have to bust out their secret cloning facilities or whatnot if they think they're going to go into the future without melding with melanated human beings. They can't, they don't have a future. They don't have a future. They're below replacement level. I say that all the time. It's that significant. They know it very, very well. They don't like it when it's mentioned, but I mention it every time one of them asserts their superiority. And then here's more from the website. The odds of these connections being mere accidents are astronomically low, reinforcing the narrative that we are actively participating in the manifestation of a digital deity. But that's more opinion there. But, it's neat references points. And he broke down some of the symbolism there regarding what Musk was showing. But here, a more recent thing that I found interesting just along the same lines is this was an interview with Whitney Webb and discussing AI. And this goes into that whole scenario with the technology with transhumanism, EGOD, etc. But with AI, and the elites are using AI to destroy the human spirit. And it's how people will stop thinking for themselves through AI, and how there'll be basically a two-tiered society: those people that understand what AI does, how to manipulate it, and those people that become mindless drones, just using the AI mindlessly because it sucks away human creativity or whatever. So, Huxley and others have written about that, but you see there that's what Musk is insinuating here with Doge spelled backwards as here's the problem. You have to be careful of hubris. Musk is the world's richest man, hugely successful. A lot of people think he's a genius or whatnot. And there's no doubt with the success that he had that he's been exceptional in many ways in many different aspects of life. But the problem is when someone becomes successful like that, they become inflated and they think they can pontificate on anything. And I'm going to show you that's what he's doing here with the symbolism, which is very juvenile as far as symbolism is concerned. If you want to understand symbolism to its greatest degree, you have to understand the Kemetic, the African symbolism, because overwhelming majority of what you think is European symbolism is African rooted. And this is what we're going to teach the lesson for Elon Musk and his reference. Now, Elon thinks here he is inflated, thinking not only am I a billionaire and I'm producing all this technology, but I'm also a symbolism expert because I'm an expert in other branches of life. And this allows me to make commentary. And he thinks he's being deep here. America was founded to be the true successor of ancient Rome, but most don't know how deep the parallels run from its grid plans to its constitution. I believe this is a repost that Elon did, but he's saying, but most don't know how deep the parallels run between Rome and America. And this just shows another case of European historical amnesia. And then I just wrote that here. Elon doesn't know either. Rome was the child of that came before it. Now I'm going to show you an image from my work that shows the truth. And most of the American symbolism that you see has Egyptian roots. Those are African roots. That Roman bird that he showed up there, you tell me, what is it's more likely? Do you think America copied the Roman bird? Or do you think American copied the Egyptian bird? Horus. You see where the Washington Monument comes from? The Eye of Providence, Jesus, Mary. This building here in the lower right-hand corner that you see me pointing at, with the racist Albert Pike founding Mason, that step pyramid there in the background in Washington, there's your step pyramid there. How many recognize that Metatron's cube up there over the American eagle, that encodes the flower of life and vice versa? I could go on, but what I'm saying is you got these pale folks up here talking about from the grid plans to the Constitution. The grid plans, if you look at the grid plan of Washington, D.C., Benjamin Banneker laid that down. We learned that from Dr. Leonard Jeffries and Mfudishi decades ago. So no, the Roman numerals are based on African hand signs. Don't get me started. So, and then, with the architecture, and here I got a book for you to consider that just came out in 2023, Classical Architecture's African Roots. Oh, that's a mic drop there. David Supple, when architect, wrote that, shows side-by-side comparative analysis and shows how all of it, the columns, the Roman arches, all of it has Egyptian African predecessors that went from Africa to Greece, and then it got to Rome. like I said, it doesn't get much more basic than culture's mathematics. And you look at the Roman mathematics symbolism of the Roman numerals, they're based on African hand sign. You have to look at the roots, the African roots of the Roman culture. Look at the Etruscan population. These are Niger-Congo speakers. So yeah, that's just more European historical amnesia. So here Elon thinking he's slick again. Kyle did a nice analysis here, though, pointing out his signals. So Elon posts 14 flags here. The 14 flags within the contents of the conversation there. Kyle offers that it's a coded reference to white supremacy. I think he's probably correct there. And it's these 14 words, if you haven't heard it. Or let's read out the 14 words, also abbreviated 14 or 1488, is a reference to two slogans originated by the American domestic terrorist David Eden Lane, one of 9 founding members of the defunct white supremacist terrorist organization, The Order, and are accompanied by Lane's 88 precepts. The slogans have served as a rallying cry for militant white nationalists internationally. The primary slogan in the 14 words is, in red here is the 14 words, we must secure the existence of our people and a future for white children, followed by the secondary slogan, because the beauty of the white Aryan woman must not perish from the earth. And of course, I have a response of 14 words. Your progeny are destined to enter reproductive relationships with the melanated people you hate. Then just a reminder, those weak, super weak sperm counts of the so-called superior race. Super weak, super low production below replacement level. Sperm counts. As for the secondary slogan, because the beauty of the white Aryan woman must not perish from the earth, I've also added, don't worry, the smart ones won't. They'll breed with the melanated, and their melanated children will survive. Tick-tock, pale racist. And that's about the bottom line there. Don't worry, the smart ones won't perish. They'll breed with the melanated, and their melanated children will survive. Tick-tock, pale racist. Tick-tock. I had to run that bet one more time. I love the hourglass. I love the hourglass. So, in any case, Elon is a symbolic moron and a racist. But this whole EGOD thing, yeah, that was a good catch by Kyle, though. Look at that. So, now they're not exactly trying to hide the symbolism. They're trying to mainstream it. And I don't know what these people think. You really think you're just going to run around and run your Nazi rhetoric and get the Klan going again and there's not going to be blowback? We will blow smoke out here. It's not a threat. I tune into the pulse of the planet. The whole world is sick of you racist pink motherfuckers. Let it accelerate. So, there you have it. That's what they're doing. Like I said, I hope President Custer keeps it up. You know, this thing is, it can end good. And like I said, it's an issue of how violent are they going to get before they accept it. That's not just globally, that's also locally. You see, this is a whole thing happening across the board. What you see that the United States is trying to thwart BRICS and stop BRICS and take greater control of the Western Hemisphere as a strategic retreat, now that they know that they are not, that's a multipolar world, that they are not dominant like they used to be, that they are in fact in decline. The same thing is happening here within the country. You know, I just saw a recent video. The Trump administration is trying to how a lot of their moves are parallel to what has happened in Europe with Hungary, the most racist right-wing country in Europe. And yeah, I might go into that next week. But there's simply no replacement for population replacement. Let me repeat that one more time for you. There is simply no replacement for population replacement. That's what the European needs. They need more pale racists, and they are incapable of producing them, literally physically incapable of producing them. Very hard for a minority in this day and age, a minority culture, to control a dominant culture. Even with the power disparity that we see in Israel right now, the Israelis, those European imposters, colonizers, know all too well that regardless of their technological and military superiority, that they cannot exist as the dominant power there when they are outnumbered. You know, you got a lot of these racists, these pale racists are Darwinists, you know, and if they really want to be Darwinists, then they have to honestly look at themselves. And what would Darwin say about the Europeans' inability to reproduce and being below replacement level? What would Darwin say about them as a species, as a separate unit, since they want to be different, that they want to break humanity up into different parts of a not even human spectrum, but where the pale racist is the pale people are the only humans and everyone else is subhuman. That's the way the racist likes to lie to themselves. Frankly, I think deep inside they know all too well that's not the case. Inferior things fall into inferior places without any help from anyone. You don't have to keep down that which is inferior. You don't have to put it in its place. You don't have to sabotage it and take measures to cull the population, etc. You don't do that to something inferior. You do that to something you're afraid of. And they've given the majority of the planet ample reason to be enraged against them. Their bubble of American exceptionalism is already popped. And all this scrambling to try to change it, like I said, I have popcorn for it. They can try to stop what's being taught in the schools. They can try to do all. It's too late. It's too late. So, President Custer, Elon Musk talking about the new Rome. No, it's Rome, all right. It's the fall of Rome all over again. Don't forget, we're at 250 years, America. That's how long their societies last, because they've never been able to control their greed. They've never been able to control their hate. They've never been able to control anything for more than 250 years. They implode, they self-destruct. And they've been too ignorant to recognize their own pattern. Maybe it's time something else rises through. But their time, their best time, it's gone. And I'm grateful for that. And it's only going to get worse for them. So, with that said, until next week, peace and blessings to all. And this has been an Ancestral production.